All right. So there are many instances in jiu-jitsu where people get a little too excited about something and they try to skip some steps and try to cut some corners. And how often do we think that works against high-level opponents? Probably not very often, okay? So I'm seeing some people be like, oh, sweet, I get turtle top, or I get back with hooks, and they haven't even finished sprawling correctly, and they're already just fixated on spinning to the back, okay? Will that work for you against a new person with no training? Probably. Most things work against new people with no training, okay? Is it gonna work for you against a high-level opponent? Very unlikely, okay? Very unlikely. So what I'm seeing is as Ian shoots in, people, they don't sprawl back, they're just kind of like this, and their partner's being so cooperative on the bottom that they just let them kind of walk around like that. That is never going to work against a committed, experienced grappler. I need to clear his grips off of my legs, okay? And I want to make him, the more his hands are like this, the more powerful and more dangerous Ian's going to be. The more his hands are like this, the less dangerous, the less threatening he's going to be to me. Okay? So I need to make his hands try to do this. Okay? The more your partner's head is in line with their spine, in any position, standing grappling, ground grappling, wherever, the stronger they are. The more you tilt their head and twist their head offline, the less threatening, the less dangerous, the less powerful they're generally going to be. Okay? So I want to make him in the least threatening, least dangerous position to me that I can. So if I can make his arms go as wide as realistically possible, and if I can make his head go offline as much as realistically possible, I've then successfully defended this takedown attempt. But if I'm leaving my partner's head pretty much in line, and if I'm leaving him in a position where he might be able to still connect his hands or at least stay in a strong position, I have not done a really adequate job of defending this takedown, okay? So our finished position should be that my body is in a straight line and or sagged hips. So straight line like a push-up or sagged hips, okay? It should also be, that's one thing that's gonna make it hard for him to lock his hands. Another important thing is that if I want his hands to be as wide as possible, do you think I should have my feet narrow or should I make my feet real wide? Real wide. If he's trying to lock around my legs and my legs are real wide, that's hard. If I put my legs here, that literally feeds him what he wants, okay? So I'm seeing a lot of people in like no wider than shoulder width. That is not gonna work. You've gotta go real wide. You've gotta give me your best Jean-Claude Van Damme and give me your feet real wide on this, okay? Because there's no way that they're gonna be able to lock their hands around you from there. So even if you're like me and you have like very unimpressive flexibility in your hips, you still need to go as wide as you can get when we're doing this, okay? So again, if Ian comes in, we just do a freeze frame of this. He's down, he just did a shot. My position should look like this. Feet really wide and my hips are getting down really low, okay? What I'm seeing is too much of where there's a bend in my hip here and my legs are narrow. Another freeze frame. I'm seeing too much of this. He is going to take you down pretty much 100 times out of 100 from here, okay? So I can't let that happen. The only part of my body that should be touching the ground are my tippy toes. My knees should not be touching. If my hand touches, it's only for a brief moment while I'm gathering balance, but I'm not bearing weight on my hands. Ian should feel like he's carrying almost the entirety of my body weight from here with this. Let's look again. So again, what I'm seeing is a lot of this. Ian, how much of my weight do you feel on you?
Not that much.
Very little, okay? Now how much of my weight do you feel?
Like you're gonna shoulder lock me.
Yeah, it hurts his arm to try to keep my leg when this happens, okay? So that's what our hips and our legs should be doing, and compared to what I'm seeing. And then thing two is head position that I'm forcing on Ian. If I can get it, and this is largely determined by if I started with my arm inside and I had the discipline to keep it inside. And these examples on this freeze frame we just did, I let Ian have better head position. The position that I could maybe go for a guillotine choke is better for Ian. Even though, yes, maybe I could guillotine choke, what's better for me is here. Remember how I said a minute ago, if I make their head offline with the rest of their spine, they're weaker, right? So when I put my arm on the inside and I force his head into his own shoulder, that makes him much weaker and much less threatening to me. Okay? So as we're standing up, I keep this on the inside, and this is what I want, not this. This is better than nothing. It's better than this. This I'm going to get taken down. Okay? So this I'm getting taken down 100%. This I can probably still defend. This, there is no way he's getting a takedown. So I sprawl here, and I'm blasting his own ear down onto his collarbone on the other side, and it feels like you probably just like want to pull guard at that point, because it's like there's no way you're getting the takedown at that stage. Okay? So is everybody sort of up to speed on what I'm seeing versus what I want to see? Are there any questions? Okay.
Yeah. So we're not gripping S-grip or gate or anything once we get the sprawl. You're more of just an open hook palm kind of thing, and then you want to flare out like a chicken to
yeah.
his neck.
Yeah. Me gripping is generally not very helpful from this. Yeah. And me gripping is going to make it almost impossible for me to spin around. Okay. All right, let's try it. 1, 2, 3.